Hi all, Marilu here, and welcome to Facets. Today we are going to discuss the ever-growing consumer culture we live in, specifically focusing on the commercialization of kids and how we are contributing to their sense of entitlement. When we look around us, there are people that always has the latest technology, brand names, and the latest clothes. This is what we refer to as consumerism. Consumerism can be defined as a social and economic order that motivates the purchase of goods and services in abundance. Maslow believes that we have a specific hierarchy of needs that drives our actions and our decision-making processes. But why are we so driven by our wants? Million tons of e-waste, laptops, including laptops, cell phones, televisions, for example, are discarded every year, which doesn't only pose a threat to the environment, but it also says something about us as consumers. This year alone, consumer spending in the UK has increased from £333,036 million to a whopping £334,676 million in the third quarter. That is a 1,640 million increase in just one quarter. These numbers are only increasing by the year, which illustrates the consuming culture that we live in. This culture is spilling over into the younger generations that can be seen in their spending habits, which includes what they spend their money on, as well as what they are convincing their parents to buy them. Children between the ages of 7 and 15 spend an average of £13 per week, and mostly spend it on clothes and shoes. The younger half of this age bracket mostly spend their money on games and toys. So the question remains, does pester power still exist, and does it still have an influence? Do kids still have an influence on their parents' buying behavior and spending habits? There are a few reasons why marketers still target the younger audience, even though some believe that they do not have the same influence over their parents' buying decisions anymore. We've all heard of games such as Fortnite and Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go had a lot of kids on their cell phones playing the game, running around trying to catch the little monsters. And it did cause a lot of controversy in the sense of safety. But apps like these and games like these have something called in-app purchases. Marketers have found the way to bypass the parental, no, you can't have that, through in-app purchases. Children can easily spend money online through things like in-app purchases. When they are playing games on their PlayStation, such as Fortnite, you can upgrade your character by buying certain things. And usually it is linked to the PlayStation account, which is linked to the parent's credit card. So it's very easy for these kids to spend a crazy amount of money, and then the parents get the bill at the end of the month and they have no idea why the bill is so high. So marketers have used this to kind of bypass that, where a kid is in store and he's pestering the parent for it, and the parent says no. Also, these days, it's easy for kids to take their parents' credit card and just make purchases themselves, as they grow up with this technology. So they are quite tech savvy and they know how to do this from a very young age, even though they may not consciously be equipped yet to rationally or really understand the decision they're making to purchase something online and spending that amount of money, but they are able to do that, which makes it really tricky for parents to control. This shows that children do have an influence on spending, whether they spend the money themselves or ask their parents to buy it for them. A documentary called The 12-Year-Old Shopaholic and Other Big Spenders focuses on children whose parents spend a ridiculous amount of money on toys and products for them to keep them happy. The issue with this, however, is that we raise kids in a culture of entitlement. So they believe that whatever they want, they are entitled to get it. Psychologists have done a lot of studies on this, and to an extent they agree that this is child abuse, because we are inhibiting natural development, and the cause of that is that they grow up to be self-entitled and not take responsibility and accountability for their actions. Children these days are still influenced by their peers, and it's become so much more difficult for parents to keep up with all the trends, as it's changing very fast, to keep consumers interested in what's going on. And children these days get bored quite fast with the toys they have or the products they have and the games they're playing. So this increases the creation of products and games to keep them enticed and interested, and to keep them going from the one thing to the next. And it makes it difficult for parents to keep up, because kids are wanting to have the latest and the greatest, and they don't want to be behind their peers, and they don't want to feel left out when their peers are talking about something and they can't be a part of it because they're not playing that game or they don't have that specific product. The main question, however, is why do parents let this happen, and why do parents allow their children to have this major influence on their buying behavior? The answer is guilt. A lot of parents on this documentary said that they didn't grow up with much, and they promised themselves that when they have children, that they will give them the world. And even though these parents can't necessarily afford to give their children whatever they want, they still try, and they still, at cost of their rent and utility bills, they will still give out the money to keep their children satisfied. Another reason for the guilt is because a lot of parents are working so hard, and some of them have 2 jobs, mostly both parents are working, and they don't get to spend as much time with the children. They feel guilty, and to compensate for that time missed, they try and buy their children gifts in order to make them feel better and make them feel that they are still appreciated and still loved through gifts. And mostly expensive gifts, because that means, let's face it, in a child's eyes, that means a lot more than getting a pair of socks. I believe for a lot of children today, the line between wants and needs have been blurred completely. So they can't really distinguish between wants and needs anymore. And that's why they tend to say that if they want something, that they need it. Because in their mind, they truly believe that this is very crucial to their being and that they need it. And I think that social status and belonging has moved down quite a lot on the hierarchy of needs. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy, because today it is all about that status and sense of belonging. And it starts at a very young age. The fact that kids these days struggle to distinguish between wants and needs makes them susceptible to purchasing or convincing their parents to buy high-end or expensive products. So this is basically how we are creating these shopaholics at the age of 12. And this leads to the self-entitled bratty culture that we are faced with today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, let me know. Give a like in the section below. Maybe leave me a little comment. And please subscribe. I will post some links in the description below if you are interested in reading more on the documentary or this topic. And I will see you guys in the next video.